Hey everybody, Rick from Building Controls Group here. Today we're going to talk about a technical bulletin that was released by Tritium here late in December of 2020. This particular bulletin has been impacting several of our customers, so we want to make a video showing how to resolve this issue and what causes it, and basically take you step by step in how to fix it. So basically what the issue is in January 1st, 2021, any JACE that is running 4.1 or older, or if you factory reset the JACE either by installing a clean distribution from your workbench or factory resetting via the backup button on your JACE, it will cause the Niagara server or the platform to stop working due to a certificate that expired in January 1st of 2021, basically leaving your JACE unaccessible by the platform or station. So a couple things we'll need in this case is we're going to need a micro USB cable, so one like this. A lot of the old Android phones use this style cable. It's not USB-C, it's micro USB. And you're going to need putty or another serial shell tool. We use putty, it's just the easiest one to use for us. And you're going to need workbench. So without further ado, let's get started. So if you've never installed or if you've never used a micro USB cable, word of warning here is we've had several customers contact us and say that my cable's not working and it must be my JACE. Well, what we've actually found is they released a lot of these micro USB cables with those battery charge packs, and some of those cables actually don't handle data. The pins are actually shorted together to tell the phone or the charge pack that, yeah, I'm a charging only cable and it won't work. So, a good micro USB cable would be one from like your Android phone, or you can buy a nice one on Amazon. But sometimes those cheap ones just don't work right. So with that, let's get started. So on your JACE, I'm just going to show an information or reference. Underneath the lid of your JACE, you're going to have this debug port right here. That's your micro USB port. We're going to plug this cable into that, and then the other end's going to go to our computer. It's going to install it as a USB to COM port. It'll show up in your device manager that way. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. So let's get started. Now you can do this powered off, with the JACE powered off, because this is a self-powered adapter. So I'm plugging that into my JACE right here, and I'm going to plug this into the USB port on my laptop. Alright, so I'm going to go into my device manager. As we can see, it showed up as COM5, so we'll need to remember that for later here. So we can close that, and now we can launch putty. Now we need to click on serial, and this is COM5 like we saw in the device manager. Your speed is going to be 115 200, and that's common to all JACE 8000s. If you're working on a AX JACE like a 600, 700, 200, whatever, it's going to be different. You're going to use a different cable. Perhaps we'll do another video about that, but the same process applies if you know how to get this far as the clean distribution and what we'll be doing here in the next couple steps. So once we've got that, we go ahead and fire up. We're going to have a blank window, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to power up the JACE. So as you can see, if everything's all good to go in your putty settings, your JACE will start displaying data. So we're going to go ahead and wait for this to boot. This JACE, what I had done is I held down the backup button because I want to basically cause this issue to happen. Now there's three different scenarios that cause this issue. One is if you do what I did, hold down the backup button, do the reset from the JACE. The second is if you install a clean distribution file from a workbench version that doesn't have the updated clean distribution, which is basically 4.9 or anything older than 4.9. You have to replace those files in your install folder, and we'll show you that here in a little bit. The third is if your JACE happens to still be running 4.1 or older. There's still a few of them out there, but if it reboots or hasn't rebooted yet, you could plan on having this happen to your JACE. And the same process is to recover this. The only difference is that we won't be doing a clean install because you will probably want to recover your station before you install the new clean distribution. So, all right. So while we're talking, this is the error that you'll see when this occurs. Basically, what this is telling us is the security certificate's no longer valid because it's after 2021, and the station can't continue to start. So the Niagara service basically just stops dead in its tracks. Can't get to it from the platform, can't get to it from the station. So when this happens, the first thing we need to do is we need to get logged into the platform. So you'll need your platform credentials at this point. Mine are just the default. Alright, there we go. So this is what we need to do at this point, is we need to update the system time. Now, if you have the service bulletin from Tritium, the PDF actually gives you a string that you can type in here. Basically, as long as it's anything that's before January 1st, 2021 will work. So typically what I do is I just copy the string from the service bulletin and I just paste it into my putty. So what this is it's going to set the date back to 2015. So we do that, and now you can see that it has set the time to October 23rd, 2015. So we can continue. Now, if now at this point you have to reboot the Jace, and we'll let this reboot here. And after we verify that this Jace indeed starts up, there's actually, depending on what scenario you fall under, will determine what you do next. So I'm going to minimize this while the Jace reboots, and what we need to do is we actually need to go into our install and install the new clean distribution files for us, because we're going to have to recommission the Jace. So I'm going to go into my Niagara install. We're going to be running 4.8 in this case. So these files were provided by Tritium, and they are in that bulletin documentation. You can get them from Tritium or your local distributor where you buy your Niagara product from. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to install the new conversion file. What I realized is I had to unzip those files one more time. So we can start with the clean disk first. So we go into our clean disks. We got our clean disk that was again provided by Tritium as an update. We're going to go ahead and replace that. This is what we're replacing, the file that's in your current install. So we'll jump one step back, go to our conversion, same thing. We got our new file, we're going to drop it into our install directory, replace it. So now we got our clean, updated distribution files that prevent this from happening. So we're going to go ahead and close this for right now. Let's go check and see if our station has started up. As you can see that it is on its way. It did not crash this time. So we will jump into Workbench, and we will check it out and see where we're at. So you want to start up your platform daemon, because we are going to be doing a commissioning on this Jace to install that updated clean distribution on here to prevent this from happening. And so this would be a good time if you need to change your network settings. Right now I'm on the primary port. I'm at factory defaults for my Vicon Jace, which is 192.168.1.40. So, and I've already set my adapter to that, or within the range of the IP that I need to get to. So we will go ahead and close that up, and I will open up the platform. And so, depending on what has happened here, if you factory reset this or install the clean disk, you'll actually just be taken straight into the commissioning wizard, like as a typical new device. If you have an installed station on this Jace, this is your time where you need to go into the station cop here and retrieve that station, copy it onto your PC, because what we're going to be doing next is going to fully wipe your Jace. So you absolutely want to make sure you have your station out of there if you have one. If you've already factory reset it, then you don't have to worry about this step. So right now, from previous, we've installed our updated clean distribution files. So now what we want to do is we want to go to our distribution file installer. And what we want to install is this guy right here. So this will put in the updated 4.1 that avoids the certificate issue that we were dealing with previously. So at this point, it is wiping my Jace, installing basically the factory image. It will retain the IP if you have a different IP on your primary, and if you have your secondary enabled, but your station's going to go away, and you'll have to then copy it back. So we can jump back to our PuTTY console and just see what this thing's doing. Basically, it's going to go through that process, install that clean dist, and we'll basically be starting fresh with a working clean dist that we can then commission the Jace, reinstall your station, or install your new station, whatever you plan on doing after the fact. So, and if I didn't mention this, I'll mention it again. If you ever need to know what the IP address is when you're in PuTTY, it will pop up for you. Very helpful if you're working on a Jace that you don't know the IP address on. Typically, for new techs out in the field, I always recommend you carry a micro USB and have PuTTY installed on your laptop, because it is a great thing to have when you're troubleshooting an issue like this. Or if you want to call us, we can absolutely help you too. But we do need info, so that's why I recommend you guys carry these cables and stuff around, because even for remoted in your laptop, it's the same process for either way. So right now, as you can see, it's updating that clean dist, and this sometimes can take a couple minutes. So let's go ahead and see if we can get into our platform. And actually, it is now the default, because we did that clean install. And so now we've done this, we're going to be brought into the commissioning wizard, and at which point, if you know how to copy your station back or update it or whatever you need to do at this point, you can take it from here. If you want to watch me do it, I'll go ahead and continue basically up until the point where we have a station back in this thing and it's up and running. So as you see, we brought into the new commissioning wizard. So it'll make us change this. So at that point now, we just got the default credentials out of the way and everything like that. And now we can do the commissioning. So we can install the station back on here and do what we need to do to get this thing back up and running. So for me, because I'm not going to do much more than what we're doing here, I'm going to just install a quick template on here for us to get things up and running. So this is going to update the station to 4.8. For the purposes of this, I'm doing this to 4.8 because 4.8 and older were releases that had this problem with the clean distribution. 4.9 release has the updated clean distribution built into it, so you don't have to replace those files like we did earlier. So basically, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to let this guy commission. Alright, so that tells us that it has started and we can log in. We open up our application director and we can watch our station start up. So now we're up and we're getting pretty close to running. We're going to see a bunch of backnet devices fail because this Jace is not connected to anything other than my training board in front of me. So, but now we verified the station is up and running. Let's go ahead and connect. And if we verify this connection, we're going to call it a day. Alright, we're logged in. And as you can see, we are up and running. So that covers it. You can see we basically what we did here was we updated the clean dist in this Jace. So if in any event you have to install a clean dist, this will no longer cause your Jace to stop running. One important thing to note is that new clean dist we put in actually prevents people from installing the old clean dist. So say someone comes in, they haven't updated their clean dist on an older release of Workbench, it won't let them install it. And also you can hold your backup button to do the factory reset in the Jace. So again, Rick over at Building Controls Group, I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe consider checking out our website, buildingcontrolsgroup.com. We support services, we sell a lot of product, and we thank you for watching this video.